Hey, what's going on, you guys? JPB Productions here, and today I'm going to be reviewing episode 8 of Survivor 43. So, yeah, in the last episode we had Janine go home. It was right after she had 2 eliminations. Definitely not go her way. She had her best friend in the game go home in Ellie, and then Dwight went home after that, and she thought that Dwight went home with her idol, and then that ended up not being the case. It was really cool editing that we saw where we all thought that Jesse, we didn't know that Jesse had that second idol. So it was really cool to see in the exit press even. Like Dwight was talking about it. He was saying how he went home with the idol and then he tricked us all. And then Jesse now has 2 idols because he never gave Cody back his idol. So yeah, Jesse's now sitting on 2 idols. So that's interesting. But yeah, Janine was really mad after the vote, and then yeah, she ends up going home in the episode. But like right after the Dwight vote, we got the confessional where she was just really discouraged. And then after that, it's the next morning. Everyone was around the fire. There's like a stronger level of camaraderie with this cast where like everyone, they're all competing for $1 million, but they have like a good level of camaraderie within the game. It seems like, or like they're all respecting each other to play how they need to play, but everyone like kind of gets along and respects each other, which is interesting. Um, we see Carla telling some story about some dream she had of Jeff or something. I like Carla is going to be a player. She's definitely making final six, but she's not winning. I don't think she's making it to the end. I mean, they hyped her up in the pre-merge as being a player that would be in a good spot, but I just don't see a win from her, so I don't think that's going to happen. Uh, so yeah, Carla had that moment, and then we have Owen. Owen has this whole emotional segment, which actually kind of reminded me of Marianne's edit or her confessional, where one of Marianne's confessionals, she was like, "There's something wrong with me, and that's why people don't want to work with me." Like that right after the Chanel vote. So I mean, and then Owen had a confessional that was very similar to that, where he's basically like, "Yeah, there's something wrong with me, and there's something clearly that I'm doing wrong, and that's why people don't want to work with me," which I thought was really interesting. It could lead to a potential Owen win. I don't really know, but Owen could potentially be your winner. I mean, I don't necessarily think so yet, but he had a really strong premiere episode. He had the most confessionals out of anybody left in that first premiere. And then they gave him that moment where his name was in the opening titles in the premiere. Maybe that means something. I don't really know. Um, so I think Owen has a good shot within the game. Uh, yeah, Owen had that confessional, that emotional confessional, and then he goes on to win immunity. And when it was down to him and Cody at the end of that challenge, I knew Owen was gonna win just based off of that one like emotional confessional or segment that he had. So we have the immunity challenge where 5 people had to sit out for Rice. Sammy sits out like immediately, and then we had a funny moment where Noelle was about to, and then Cassidy steps forward, and then Noelle's like, "Nope," and then doesn't. But 5 people had to sit out, and I like this. I really do. It doesn't impact the game in any way. It creates a little bit of drama, not much, but a little bit of drama. And watching 11 people compete for one individual immunity necklace that probably won't matter all too much is a little bit boring to watch. But if it's 6 people, there's a stronger chance that it's going to count because there's a stronger chance that if you think you're safe, you're just not going to compete to gain, social merit with your tribe so that they can get Rice. And then if you are competing, maybe you feel more so like you're in danger, which increases the odds of someone who's maybe on the chopping block to win immunity. Whereas immunity challenges can be a little bit more anticlimactic when there's like 11 people competing. Um, so I like this. And then we ended up having Owen win the challenge. He had his whole segment of how it's his childhood dream. I mean, that it's overused, but I think that if I got out there and I won individual immunity, I'd probably say the same thing. Even though I never really imagined myself winning individual immunity as like a pipe dream when I play Survivor one day. It just kind of it's part of it. I guess it's on the bucket list, but it's not really like I want to get on Survivor, and then I want to, well, yeah, win the game. Maybe find an idol, uh, experience everything there is to experience, have fun in the challenges. Strategically have a good level of control where I'm content with my game upon exit, whether I win or lose. But winning individual immunity is never really on my bucket list. But we saw that moment with Owen where he was excited about it. Yay. um, so the challenge then ends, and right after the challenge, we had Sami looking pretty good. Sami was, talking about how he wants control for the rest of the game. He wants to be the youngest person to ever win the game. And yeah, I think no teenager has ever been more adept at playing the game. Sami's doing well. He's a very adept player. I'm proud of him. He's doing well. I mean, I'm a very young player, and a lot of the time I'll look at those players that are as young as me and like, can they hack it with these people with a little bit more life experience? But Sami's proving that you can. Like Survivor is a social experiment, but it's a very specific game that isn't tailored to all the life experiences outside of Survivor. So if you are young, you got a shot. It's a game. And when you look at it as just a game, maybe age really is just a number, and everyone has different traits than what they're good at. So, yeah, Sami's doing real well out there. Cassidy had a pretty good episode where Cassidy was basically like, no, I want it to be Ryan, and then she votes for Ryan to send a signal to everybody else, like, hey, if you aren't going to listen to me at points, I'm going to flip on y'all. So Cassidy ended up looking pretty good here. It's getting a little bit sexist how they keep on voting the women out. So I guess, yeah, Cassidy was trying to make a point there, which is completely valid. Plus, she also maybe trusted Janine a little bit more than Ryan in the grand scheme of things. Well, yeah, she did, because Ryan's written Cassidy's name down before. So yeah, Cassidy looked pretty good in this episode, even though she voted incorrectly. I think that she got a very positive episode. I think that we could still see a Cassidy win. Cody, I think, got a confessional. He was pretty irrelevant in this episode. Noelle also got a confessional, something just to do with the strategizing time. Not super relevant. Gabler, I love Gabler, but he wasn't super relevant in this episode. I thought it was interesting though that his name didn't come up at all. Like, I was thinking, after the first episode, he orchestrated that Ellie boot, and everybody knows it, and everybody saw that he did it. And then the next episode, he wins immunity. So I was like, and he was doing his whole segment of how, this minute I'm playing for this minute I'm playing for that, this minute I'm playing for that. So I was thinking that he was kind of standing out a little bit. So I was actually under the assumption that he was going to maybe have his name get thrown out this round. But nope. They see him as a good shield, somebody that can go home at any time. Maybe a threat. I do think they see him as somewhat of a threat, even if they don't think that he's super socially adept in some ways. I still think that they see him as a threat, but maybe they see him as a threat that can go home another time, so maybe they didn't feel super rushed to get Gabler out. But yeah, Gabler didn't get a ton of screen time. Carla, I would have expected more from her. Once we hit merge, we haven't really gotten much content from her. She had a great pre-merge, but then once merge hit, kind of died off the edit a little bit, which again shows me that she's not your winner. They made her look really good in the pre-merge, but to not hype her up right now, it's not enough. I think Cassidy, Sami, or maybe even Owen is your winner now. Owen, just from an edgic standpoint, from a positioning standpoint, I see no way how he wins the game, but from an edgic standpoint, maybe he finds a way, because I'm really starting to see the green flags for Owen to potentially win the game. Yeah. Carla, maybe if she has a spike in her edit, I'd believe that she could potentially be the winner, but I don't see it right now. Jesse, I see Jesse going home with an idol or two in pocket and a big blindside. I mean, I was originally thinking he was an FTC loser. He's getting kind of like the Romeo edit where, great pre-merge, but he's gonna be a little bit more monotonous going into the merge, and then he's not gonna be as relevant and isn't as big of a goat as Romeo, but close. That's what I was expecting from him, but it actually seems like he really is holding his own out there, which makes me think if he gets to the end, he's your winner. But he's not getting to the end. His edit's been a little bit too perfect. So I see him actually as a final 7 boot even. I see, or he plays an idol at 7 and then he goes home with 1 idol in his pocket at 6. I think that that's very likely. But yeah, Jesse's not your winner. It's a really clear edit where you can it's a bit too perfect. It's just a bit too perfect, I think. So I don't think Jesse's your winner. And then Owen, he could potentially win. James, he's kind of a unique character. We haven't really seen anybody on the show quite like him. I remember I think he lost his voice at one point. Yeah, in that merge episode, he still has the knowledge is power. I don't know what he's gonna do with that. He could take Cody's idol, or maybe he wouldn't know Jesse had an idol though. I don't think. Oh wait, no, Cody doesn't have an idol anymore. He gave it to Jesse. I don't know. So James will have to know who has what, but he probably doesn't have much knowledge considering. Yeah, Cody gave the idol to Jesse. Maybe it's not as blatant who has what because people were passing things around so much. So I don't really know. James has that advantage, and then Ryan I think is going home this episode. It's a double. It's two groups of 5 with one person in each group winning immunity, and I think that Ryan's gonna go home. I don't think he's in all that great of a spot, and I think that's what we're seeing here. He's gonna have a tough time. I mean, unless he's an FTC loser somehow, which I don't see. But like his edit, like it could be that, but I think it's just kind of gonna be like an early merge boot. I'm actually kind of surprised he's even still in. Like I thought he'd go home before this. Like I'm very surprised to see Ryan still in this game. And even in this episode, he got that emotional content reminding you of the fact that he was born 3 months prematurely, how nobody in a million years would have ever thought that he'd be able to, spear gun in the way that he has. And it's an emotional story, and I thought that they were reminding us of that because he was going to go home, and he didn't go home. So I'm thinking like he's probably going to go home soon. He has a really interesting story, but the editors have been giving him a really bad edit, a real raw deal, and I don't particularly think that he deserves it. I mean, yeah, like they made him look really arrogant with the Geo boot, and then like people are saying, oh, he's doing no strategizing, he's just going out and getting fish. I don't think that he deserves that. He even had his voting confessional where he votes Janine out in a really respectful way, saying something along the lines of, I'm sorry about this. I know that in the future you can be the leader that you know that you can be. Something like that. It was probably a very insider type of confessional that relates to her and we don't really know about, but it was respectful. Ryan's a nice guy, and they're doing him very dirty in the edit. So I just want to remind everyone of that like Ryan is definitely a good dude, but that they're giving him a really raw deal in the edit that he probably doesn't deserve. So yeah, that's my take on kind of everybody. If I had to make a boot order in my head, I keep on doing this like every time, but as of right now, I'd say Ryan 10, James 9, Owen 8. So either he goes home right after this episode or he wins the game, maybe. Jesse 7 in like a big blind side. Carla 6, Gabler 5, Noelle 4, Cody 3, Sammy 2, Cassidy 1. That's what I'm thinking right now. Going into I think that the final 7, Gabler, Jesse, and Carla are all going to be in the game. The question is, are we getting a little bit more obvious of a winner's edit where maybe like Gabler's edit, they're showing him to be a favorite, but he can't win. I just think based off of who he is, I don't think he can win. But maybe we're looking at a really obvious winner's edit. I mean, it could be Jesse or Carla by all means, but I think that Jesse or Carla, like one of them goes home right before the end game, one of them goes home right at the beginning of the end game. That's what I think is going to happen. Or one of them's able to make Final 5 and maybe get a little bit of a spike and get some momentum, and one of them's able to win the game. I don't know. But I think Cassidy or Sammy is your winner right now. I think that Sammy's been getting maybe a little bit too perfect of an edit, but I also think that they've hit him like enough, or like they're giving him those winner quotes. But and he looks better than Carla right now, but like Jesse's kind of like screams decoy, whereas Sammy does not scream decoy. I think he actually could be the decoy, and I think Jesse could be a decoy too. Really, I think Sammy and Jesse are two really obvious winners edits right now, but I see right through the Jesse winners edit. Jesse's edit's reminding me of a mix of Romeo's and Omar's, actually, where it's like Romeo in the pre-merge, but like the confidence of Omar throughout the whole game, and neither of them won. So I'm still thinking Cassidy or Sammy is your winner. I think Carla's going to go home in some big blind side, and then Gabler, Final 5 player for sure. Maybe he'll get voted out because he's a threat, but they're hyping him up to be a favorite within the season. I just don't see a Gabler win actually happening. So I'm looking forward to this episode. I actually don't know what the configurations are for the groups. The episode is tomorrow night. upon me making this video. It's a Tuesday. So, yeah, they're going to divide into two groups. One person's going to win individual immunity in both of the groups, and each of them are going to go to separate tribal council to vote the second and third jury members out. So I'm looking forward to it. My predictions for the boots, it's going to be James and Ryan, but we're going to see what's going to happen. Yeah, with that being said, I'm JPV Productions. Thank you for listening. See you guys.